Hello everyone and welcome to .NET Core Central, the website for everything .NET Core. Today I'm going to continue with the application that I started last time where I was trying out Dapper with ASP.NET Core for connecting to SQL Server database. Before I start with the insert, delete and update functionalities which are left from the last video, first thing I want to do is I want to move the database connection into configuration instead of hard-coded in the DI container section. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up the connection string from here and first move it into the config file, which is the appsetting.json. And in appsetting.json, I'm going to create a new node for connection string. And inside of connection string, I'm going to create an attribute for time management. And I'm going to paste the connection. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to startup. And here, first what we have to do is we have to get a handle of the configuration object so that we can access the connection string. So for that, to start with the configuration builder. So we'll go with new of configuration builder, and then I'm going to set the base path, and the base path is going to be the directory dot get current directory, because that's where my appsetting.json file would be. I have to add the JSON file, and here I will have so here first I am creating the configuration builder, then setting the base path as the current directory, and then adding the JSON file of appsetting.json where the configuration is residing. And then I'm going to create the config object. So once I build the builder, it's going to return me I configuration root, and from the root I can travel back to a configuration node. So I'm going to do here config, and then I have to give the path, so my or the key. So the key would be connection string, and then I have to go to time management. So to see if it is working, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to employee provider, put a breakpoint here, and just see if my connection string is coming from configuration properly or not. To do that, I'm going to run the application, and here I'm going to change it to employee. Yep, so I'm getting the connection from the configuration. I'm just going to hit continue. I get the only data that I inserted last. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the class. I already have provider for providing the data. I'll have to create a class for the data management itself. And let's start with the interface first. So I'll have I employee a processor. I employee processor. So here I'm going to make it as public, and then inside of these I'll have the create, delete and update method. I'm going to create a void create, which is going to take an employee object, and then update, which is going to also take an employee object. And the last one is delete, which is going to take an employee ID. So you can notice here I'm not returning anything from this method, which means if there is an exception, I'm just going to let it bubble up to the next level. Here there are two things I could do. One thing is what I'm doing right now, which is return nothing and let the exception bubble up. Second thing I could do is I could return a boolean from this method to indicate whether it's a success or failure and manage the exception inside of this method. For the time being, I would just let the exception bubble up. In future videos, when I create business layer and introduce business functionalities, I would probably decide what I should do. I'm going to create employee processor. So it looks like here I have a typo. So I have an extra M in the interface name. Now in the employee processor, let me make it public. And let me implement employee processor interface. Interface. So let's start with create. Just like the retrieve, I'm just going to use using create a SQL connection object. So first let's add the namespace, and then let me create the constructor. And in the constructor, let me pass the connection string. Initialize the connection string as a field to the class. So here for inserting, all I'm going to do is connection dot execute let me add the namespace Dapper, and then here I'm going to pass the insert statement. So insert into employee, attributes first name, last name, address, home phone, and cell phone. And values are going to be @first name, @last name, @address, @home phone, @cell phone. So here in the values, the first name, last name, these are essentially the exact name of the properties that I have for employee. So here what I can do is I'm passing the object, so I can just pass an anonymous object here, and I can do this. I will do employee dot first name, employee dot last name, employee dot address, employee dot home phone, employee dot cell phone. And once I do that, I should have a new set of employee data created into the database. Now go back to employee controller, and here in the post I'm going to expect a employee object coming as JSON, and I'm going to use the employee processor to insert that. So for first thing I have to do is I have to expect the employee processor. Create it as a flow, and then here I'm going to employee processor dot create, and I have to pass an employee object. Before that I have to expect an employee object here. So let's name it as employee. So that's all. So now what I'm going to do is, this time I'm going to use the postman for executing the request. So let me first download the postman. The postman is installing. Now that postman is up, I'm going to create a post request, and I'm going to provide my employee URL. For posting the object, I'm going to pass the JSON into the request body. For that, use first name, font. And so on. So once I have that, I'm going to use the application JSON. I'm going to send the request. And you can see here I got all the requests back. I'm going to continue. Go back to my database and execute select statement, and here I go. I've got the John Smith and the address and phone number. Next thing I'm going to do is, since my create is working, now it's time to implement the update and then delete. So for update, exactly similar to the create function, so I'm just going to copy and paste this one, and I'm just going to change statement here. So update employee, and let's add first name equal to first name, last name equal to last name, address equal to address, and phone equal to phone, cell phone equal to then I have to put a where condition where, okay, and here I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm passing the first name, last name, I have to pass the ID also. So employee job ID, valid. I need the connection object as well, so I should have copied the whole thing, etc. Then I'll go back to the employee controller and it's employee processor dot employee dot ID equal to the ID. So that's what I'm going to do. Now it's time to go back to Postman and put the ID. So if I am updating, I'll just change everything to 1111 so that we can see the difference. And change the address also to so once I do that, and I have to provide the employee ID string. So I do that and I change this one to good. And once I do that, let me run the program. So once the program starts, I'm going to hit send. And here I got the ID as 3 and I got the employee object, which is going to hit continue. And it looks like my execution is completed, so I'm going to select the employee table once again. And here we go, it's changed to Green Street 1111. So you can see the update is successful. Now let's just go ahead and implement the delete functionality. So delete functionality also would be very similar to the update and insert. So I'm going to have the same thing. The only thing is here it's going to be based on employee ID. So it's going to be delete employee where ID equal to @ID, and here the only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say ID equal to employee. That's pretty much good. And then I go back to my controller. I implement the delete, so I say play processor dot delete, and then let me just run and just disable all the breakpoints. Then go back here, dot the body, and let's rename it to delete. We'll do a select. Done. So my record is being deleted from the database. So as you can see how easy and straightforward it is to implement Dapper for crowd operation. So just to recap, so first we created the employee processor, which has the implementation for create, delete and update functionality, and then we went ahead and updated the employee controller and implemented the post, put and delete method, and in the startup we have to add the employee processor into BI so that our controller can get the object. So in the next video I am going to add some business logic into our time management and implement the unit testing. Thanks so much for watching the video. Please subscribe to my channel.